Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dream Makers presenting Wealthy Minds, where we discuss legacy wealth, what it is, how to obtain it, grow it, and sustain it to help raise the socioeconomic status of our listeners and their families. With me, your host, Kmarie, and special guest Lorenzo Smith of Smith & Company Investments, a real estate investor. Today's topic will be real estate investing and home ownership. I welcome you to join us. Join the conversation on Facebook Live on the Dream Makers page or Twitter at official_Kmarie. Your questions and comments are welcome, and we will do our best to answer them as time permits throughout the show. So again, our guest today is Lorenzo Smith with Smith & Company Investments. Lorenzo, can you please give us a little bit of background about what exactly you do, your portfolio, and a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. I'd like to thank you for having me on the show. Basically, what I do, it's pretty simple to some, and some might think it's kind of complicated, but anybody can do it if they have the energy. You know, I'm a real estate investor here in Kansas City. And that's kind of broad. I do quite a few things. I fix and flip. Sometimes I wholesale, which is practically you purchasing coming up with a contract, and you're selling your contract to another buyer for a little bit more.
Right.
I manage property. We were just talking about property management. That's why I asked you a few questions about it, what you think about it. And I'm just a social guy. I like to talk and share and help people learn, and I'm a constant learner myself,
Okay. And if you would, for the people who don't know, can you define each of those endeavors that you said? So you have fix and flip, wholesaling, and then property management. What's the difference?
Okay. Well, I'll start with fix and flip first, which seems like it'll be the easiest to explain, where you basically go in and you buy a property, you make repairs, and you turn around and sell it, and for a profit. And I mean, it's really simple as that. You have to know your numbers though, because if you don't educate yourself on things pertaining to it, like the ARV, after repair value, your repair cost and all your holding costs, it'll be difficult for you to it'll be easier, should I say, for you to lose money. You just gotta
that makes sense.
Be knowledgeable. And then wholesaling is basically a person go into agreement to purchase a property, and with the intent to actually purchase it or not or whatever. And what they do is turn around and assign that purchase contract to another potential buyer who has interest to pay a little bit more than what the original contract was for. Right,
gotcha. And then the property management.
Yeah, it's a property management. In most cases, legally, they say you have to be licensed to actually manage property, and it's a tedious business because you're dealing with owners. Let me back up. That's basically a service that I provide for owners, mainly owners that stay out of state. And what it is we do for them is they purchase property here in Kansas City, and we'll find tenants for them. We'll screen the tenants for them, collect their rents, and we even pay mortgages for some of the property managers.
Nice.
We do the eviction process. Just this is for the person who wants to be a passive investor and really just has money but doesn't have as much time.
Gotcha. Okay. And then so to explain that portion a little bit, when he said passive investor, because again, the topics of the show is creating legacy wealth, which is establishing assets, monies that can be passed down to the next generation, and hopefully generations and generations. So that's the reason we wanted to have Lorenzo on the show today, because when you talk about investments, that's a big deal in regards to creating that generational wealth. And when he says a passive investor, then that's just somebody who pretty much puts up the money and then they allow somebody else to participate in the day-to-day operations, but they can still get the benefits monetarily and or even acquire the assets after whatever tasks need to be done.
Absolutely. So it's no different than a person putting in money in stock, but they putting it in something more tangible that they can actually touch, you know. And I mean, if you educate yourself, it's less risk, you know, and it's not difficult. You just have to have the energy to learn the market, to see what property's actually worth, and it helps to have good contractors in line with you as well.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, we were just speaking about that, the contractors in the construction side of it. So with that being said, for somebody who is not in the real estate industry, and say for instance, maybe they are already a home buyer, but they're looking to expand their portfolio, make a little bit more money, how easy would it be for them, just the average person, to get into the real estate business?
It's really not difficult. However, right now it's a little harder to buy property in Kansas City. You kind of got to be tied in, know somebody, because the moment stuff comes on the market, it's taken right off the market. It's, you know, fast listings. They sell fast. However, it's I think it would be more if a person wants to get into the business, they focus more on a mindset change where they can find deals. But you know, like I'm obsessed. You know, I continuously look. I'm scrolling my phone before I go to sleep. I have people contacting me on a daily basis, telling me things that they have, and as well, I send stuff out as soon as I get it. So, you know, you don't have to start that way, but you know, it's about building a network of people. So if you want to start it, a good suggestion would be to go to your local RIAs. It's hundreds of Facebook real estate groups that you can join, and it's about networking, telling everybody what you do, you know, and hopefully somebody will help you out and give you mentorship. You know,
right, gotcha. And the RIAs, like he mentioned, they are here in Kansas City. Usually, do those require membership if you participate with those?
Some of them require memberships, but not all of them. However, it's all worth it simply because you can't put a price on the education and the relationships that you'll actually build in those places, because you'll be around a bunch of people just like you was probably where you was 3 years ago, and they can probably share their experience with you. You know?
Exactly, I agree. Yeah. So what we just discussed a little bit about was the fix and flip and what that is. So pretty much you're purchasing a property. The ARVs pretty much are the after repair value. So for instance, I know right now we are working on a wholesale deal. The house, we are selling it at $30,000. And the repair costs are about $60,000. And then a house across the street, it's sold for $175,000. And so with that's a property so would you say for that property, is that a hold? Because sometimes people fix and hold the properties, and sometimes people fix and flip. When would you make that decision?
Well, I think it depends on the individual person and what their financial goals are.
Okay.
Simply, if you need the money, you better take it.
Okay, but so for somebody new just getting in, then that would be one that they would want to flip. Okay.
Yeah, mainly just because, well, in my case, starting out, well, what I had to do is build my cash up to get so I can be comfortable with doing buying holds, and in the process of building my cash reserves, I focused on myself, building my credit, and making sure all those things are aligned with the bank's requirements, so I can be bankable.
Exactly right. Okay. And so for the average person, that's who we're speaking to, who hopefully you guys are interested, because again, and I'll say it again, investments is where you want to go in regards to building wealth for your family. So for the average person, you spoke about credit.
Mm-hmm.
How much of an impact do you think that actually makes with getting into the business initially?
Initially, you don't need credit to get in the business. Like if you're starting out and you don't have a lot of money, I would make a suggestion just to learn how to wholesale so you can raise some cash, and in the process of raising that cash, maybe work on some of your things that belong to credit, but don't eat the babies all the way. You got to put your money back in your business.
Okay.
So spend money on marketing. You can do things like bandit signs. I know in a lot of states they're legal. You can put bandit signs on corners. People actually do get a lot of feedback from those. Yeah. Also, postcards. I flood people's neighborhoods and houses with yellow letters. Those little, "We want to buy your house." I flood them with them, and I get quite a bit of leads off of those. They're relatively inexpensive, and it's just different things that you can do after you start generating some wholesale money, and eventually you'll find the right deal for yourself.
So for you, did you just kind of go feet first into it with the wholesale, or did you, like you mentioned with the RIA clubs, did you have any mentors that helped you?
Yeah, actually, I do actually have a few mentors. I got mentors that don't even know they my mentor, Yeah. But I started a while ago. I've been a licensed real estate broker since '98. I got my salesperson's license in '97, and I worked for a company called Bob Wood and Associates. They used to have me managing a lot of their houses back then. They didn't care as long as the house had a furnace and a front and a back door in there. We rent it out as is. You got glass on the. But anyway, but it was good because it was a learning experience for me or whatever. But however, so that was one of my mentors, and then through the years, just meeting other people that's in the business and start learning, meeting hard money lenders as well, and they kind of coached me to where I'm at now. But you got to continuously seek the knowledge, even if it's in a book or a podcast.
Okay. So did you guys hear that? RIA clubs, books, podcasts, networking, and pretty much just gaining the knowledge and information that you can get if you want to get into that business. So I do know they have a group that you can get online simply, and it's called Meet Up. And if you get on there and you say that you're interested in finding those networking events for real estate investment, then they have quite a few on there, and they have a pretty healthy network for the Kansas City area. But I heard you mention as well, I wanted to go back to that you said in Kansas City right now it's a little bit harder to buy. So we know right now it's a lot of economic development and other developments happening in Kansas City. Do you think that may be the reason why?
Yeah, as they say right now, KC's the town. Basically
Kansas City is the town.
Basically, it's a lot of people from out of state. They're coming and buying all the property here in Kansas City up. Out-of-state investors. We have investors from Australia that I manage property for.
Wow.
And they're here buying the property. And you think about it, they used to have the racial line, truce. Now they saying the new line is for sale because everything's practically all bought up over there. And houses in the inner city, the properties that we used to buying for $7,000 to $8,000 and $10,000, $20,000 are selling for $80,000 to $80,000 and up. And it's a good thing for the people that's in the business, but for the average person who's just living, working paycheck to pay their rent, the problem becomes is once the neighborhoods are gentrified, it makes it difficult for them to have a place to stay. Because if I'm a landlord and I've been letting Miss Janet stay in my house and she's been in there for 6 years, and then I start seeing all the houses in the neighborhood sell for twice as much, and and I can make a potential profit.
Right.
Ms. Janet is kind of screwed, so it's important for the communities to, learn about home ownership.
I agree. Yes.
Clean your credit up and talk to a realtor. Call me, call Miss Marie, somebody just to ask some questions to get you put in the right position for it, because, if it keeps going the way it is, and even in the hood, a lot of people going to be pushed out of their homes.
Pretty much, yes. And that is the importance, and thank you for coming. That is the importance of why I thought Mr. Smith should come today, because of course, we have all noticed that it's a lot of development going on in Kansas City, and a lot of people are upset about it. However, and I get the frustration behind what's happening. However, it's not going to change. And say, for instance, most of the majority in Kansas City or in the urban core are uprooted to a new location. Okay, everybody goes out there, get settled, stay there for 6 years, stay there for 20 years. But in 20 years, if they choose to come and redevelop in that area, the same thing is going to happen. So the purpose of our discussion today is to inform you about ways that you can begin to create legacy wealth, to empower you to do so, but then to help you change your mind to not be so reactive, but be more proactive and go along with those processes. So like he had mentioned, work on your credit, and just get the knowledge that you would need in order to become even a homeowner, if you haven't done so, which this topic that we're talking about, I understand that it's just one of many issues that we face in regards to actually creating that socioeconomic stability that we are promoting today. But this is one of the ways that you guys can do that. So again, we talked about fixing and flipping. We talked about wholesaling a little bit, and we talked about the property management side of it, and then some of those ways that you guys can go forward to actually participate with any of those endeavors. So let's go back a little bit, talking about home ownership. So what do you think are some of the issues in regards to that? I know credit is a big deal. Sometimes it's education. Sometimes it's the lack of jobs and things like that. And overall, guys, just hear me out. I do believe that it is very strategic on how things go. However, we can't position ourselves where that it can't happen again. So, but what do you think in regards to home ownership and the importance of that in creating that generational wealth of community?
I think that's so important simply because if you want to leave something for your family, if nothing else, you can provide them with stability from not having to move from home to home once the property is sold and resold and resold. It's going to be a cycle. So that's one of the benefits of actually being a homeowner. However, you get the opportunity to appreciate all the benefits from the real estate, from appreciation to if you decide to rent the property out to build cash flow, just so many different things that for when you buy property that actually bring value to you. And for example, some people, here's an easy scenario for someone. If a person wanted to instead of rent, they can buy a duplex and rent one of the units out and have it basically paying, for the whole mortgage. But the hurdles, I believe, are more of what we've been taught to. We program ourselves to do things that we like to do, but not what we necessarily need to do. So, for one, if you're interested in buying a house, start reading and start learning and asking questions and to figure out what you need. And you're going to need a lender. And with a lender, you're going to need some sort of credit. You need a realtor to take you out looking at houses,
right.
And to giving you lists of property. You got to all realtors are not created equal. So you might want to search and find somebody that can actually assist you with your needs.
And so for you, you do have your real estate license as well. Okay.
Yeah, myself, I originally purchased my real estate. Got my real estate license. That sounds bad. Purchased my real estate license. I went to school. I originally got my license to.
You official?
Yes, official.
Okay, I thought so.
To get it to be an investor, and however, the benefits of that, I get commissions when I buy property, and that's one of the perks. But I have all access to all the data that I need to make a good decision on if a deal is worth it or not.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's next for your business?
Well, for 2019, I had a pretty decent year for 2018, and one of the questions that I believe was on the list for you to ask was about
the biggest deal that you've ever made. Yes.
Yeah. Well, the biggest deal, I say it was. I had quite a few big deals.
Well, congratulations.
But the one, and it goes back to the gentrification going on in the urban community. It's a property off of Purcell, 38th and Purcell. It's like right at the border. I purchased that property for $23,000. I got a hard money loan to rehab it. I probably spent about a little bit over $120,000 on the rehab total and purchase, and we sold it for $230,000.
Nice.
So that in a 4-month period of time, but the trick is don't eat the babies.
Right.
So it's not like I actually could celebrate. I put the kids back out to work.
Right.
So yeah. One day I'll reap the benefits of that. But.
Okay, and so that's where you were talking about with the ARV. So you have the after repair value of the property was pretty much $230 because that's what it sold for.
Correct.
The repair cost you said was $120, and you purchased the property for how much? $23,000. Yes, I say that was an awesome deal. Smart, and it sounded like it was a lot of hard work, but within 4 months' time, nice. Yeah, sound like you got a good crew of contractors and things like that. So during that process, so once you get to the point, can you talk about a little bit about that and what people would need to do or who they could get in contact with? Say, for instance, they've already purchased the property. They're going through the process of repairing the property, so they already have their contractors. When it comes time to selling the property, of course, we know a real estate agent, but would you suggest people just go at it themselves to sell the home, where it's just for sale by owner instead of?
Well, excuse me, if you had a little clientele or a following where you got buyers and that's what you do. Sometimes it's not necessary because you build relationships with people, and some of the people you have relations with might have someone to help you and can save money because it's all about the network, right?
Right.
However, choosing a realtor is not a bad thing. However, because they'll generally offer more exposure to your property, with the MLS, the multiple listing service, and if they've been in the business for a while, they might already have some people in mind. So it's typically all about networking,
Okay. Alrighty. So overview, guys. So in regards to the fix and flips, which we suggest, first of all, and we just want to go over everything we talked about today. Hopefully you guys have been taking notes because this has been informational for me. Credit. So if the credit is not in place, get with people. I know they have the Law Center here in Kansas City, Missouri, who can help work on your credit or other ways to work on your credit. Get with a bank, figure out what the financing look like, and network. RIA clubs, get online, find those networking groups.
I want to make a note, though. You do not have to have good credit to purchase and sell real estate. You did not have to have a real estate license to purchase and sell real estate.
Right, and that's the wholesaling.
Yes, the wholesaling and the investment side of it. It's all about just knowledge and education. All of the real estate license that's just one way to get into the business. But
Right.
But as far as your credit, people take money down payments. You might run across an old man who's been in investing for 20 years, and he liked you at a local RIA because you showed up to 10 of them straight, and you only had $5,000 or put down or something, and he decided to give you a shot just because of your personality. And people actually talk to you about their business and their life, and you just gotta be around it.
Right.
That's the whole key. Open your mouth. Tell people what you want to be. If you're credible, or not credible, but should I say, if a person likable, because that's important. Somebody might open up and share with you.
Gotcha. And then on the closing, it's suggested to go through a realtor, but just like he just mentioned, if you choose not to, you can just make those cash deals. But there is a legal side to that as well, right? So, because I know titling, things like that, how important is that with closing on a property? Whether it's fix and flip, wholesaling,
I would
home ownership.
Myself, I would recommend anybody, even people who think they were somewhat seasoned investors or whatever.
Yes.
It's always best to go through title company on the purchase, simply because they offer you title insurance. And title insurance is necessary because, especially if you're getting a loan, a mortgage company wouldn't even loan a person money if they couldn't get title insurance. But a lot of times you'll get those people to be like, we can just sign a quick claim deed right under the table.
Yes.
And then I've done it and went back to try to sell the property, and the sale has stopped because we got to catch up with other people to get them to sign documents. And sometimes it was a case where we had to actually pay $2,000 to file a quiet title because we actually did it sort of under the table. And that was my lesson. If I buy, I'm only buying through a title company, and I suggest the same.
Gotcha. Okay. So just for that extra insurance. And so when you talked about the insurance, what exactly does that do?
Well, the title insurance.
Or how does it operate with the closing?
Well, basically, the titling, they're basically the in-between between the buyer and the seller and the agents and the wholesalers. It's practically simple. You bring a contract to the title company. The title company will review it, and then they'll check into the property, make sure it don't have no liens or judgments, and they'll look into the seller to make sure they don't have no liens and judgments on them that they have to pay, and everything's clear. You bring the buyer will bring the money to the table, and they'll do exchange for deeds, and the title company would just do the recording, and they'll guarantee, which is what the insurance is, they'll guarantee that nothing will come back on that property, and if so, they'll fix it.
And that everybody gets paid.
Absolutely. They're protecting everybody.
Right. Just so extra insurance. So, Lorenzo, it's been awesome. You have mentioned that people can call you if they're interested in getting in.
Absolutely. I love to help. What I do right now, I have a few people that we work with. What we do is, give them help them find areas that they want to market in, and we send out postcards for them, like I was telling you, and I walk through the whole deal. They get a phone call. I sit down and walk with them and look at the property, analyze it, make offers on the property, and if we can get a deal, we split the profit up 50-50.
Wow. Well, that's a big help to somebody with their first time in. So if you're interested, Lorenzo, how can they contact you?
All right, you can reach me at, what's a good way to reach me? I'm on social media. I think the Facebook page is Lorenzo Smith Sr. Yeah, I believe it's Lorenzo Smith Sr. And also my office number is 816-612-9359.
Can you repeat it again?
816-612-9359.
Okay, Kansas City. You guys heard him here today, Lorenzo Smith with Smith & Company Investments. We thank you so much for taking the time to come out and empower us with the knowledge on fixing and flipping, wholesaling, and property management. And I hope you guys use the information. We thank you again for the invitation for people to contact you. And if you have any questions or comments, again, please visit us on Facebook at the Dreammakers Group or on Twitter at official_Kmarie. And we'll do our best to get to your comments with the next session. Thank you.
Thank you.